Argyle at home for the first time in 2026. A positive December was ended with an indifferent festive period, but now into the second half of the season, they'll want to sort out their form here at home park. Burton Albion are the first opposition here this year, and a home game with the Brewers brings back happy memories for the Green Army. Just 32 months ago, Argyle was celebrating promotion after a win over Burton, and today they're hoping a win can get them out of the relegation zone. A crucial game at the foot of the Sky Bet League One table then, and it's all coming your way on Argyle TV. Hello, good afternoon. I am Erin Black and this is the pre-match show live here from the corner of Home Park Stadium. Just 3 home wins all season for Argyle, and that is certainly a stat that they want to improve on over the course of 2026. After a positive December, the aim will be to kick on now in the new year and have a much better second half to the season. Burton Albion travelled down to Devon today, having lost their last 2 matches, and they are above Argyle on goal difference, so a win for either would be huge. Your match passes, both audio and video streaming, are available to purchase over on the website. You want to head to pafc.co.uk for all of the details on that. And joining me in the studio this afternoon is none other than former Argyle defender Mark Edworthy. Happy New Year to you, Mark.
Happy New Year to you, Erin. It comes and goes so quickly, and here we are again. Another home game, and hopefully victorious this time.
The games have been coming thick and fast over the last couple of weeks. One thing that's remained a constant, you in your t-shirts.
I know,
I
don't understand. It's really warm in the studio. Let's just say to all our viewers and all our fans, it is warm in the studio. It's not
I'm
that
wearing
I'm trying to prove a point.
turtleneck.
Everybody seems to be so cold. Perhaps it's all them playing days outside, wet in the cold, and all these different conditions. But yeah, it's lovely and warm in the studio, so looking forward to the game.
Ice baths that you've
Yes,
been
that's
doing.
what it is. It must be.
We need to get everyone on the Mark Edworthy regime to see us into a good 2026. I think you're feeling quite positive about today's game, hopefully?
Yeah, I think so. It's time to start, as you said, winning some home games. It's been indifferent. I think when we beat Rotherham at home, we lost to, obviously, Bradford, then beat Rotherham. I thought that was a turning point, and we both did the Reading game together, and we didn't expect that, sending off very early on, and obviously losing 4-1, but hopefully some positive signs, a couple of good draws, especially away from home. We've hopefully conquered that side of the table where we can start winning away from home, but it's time to start winning at home now. And Burton are ones that are certainly there for the taking this afternoon. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's fair to say that our home form is the reason we're in the relegation zone at the minute. And Burton as well have been quite decent away from home. We know obviously the last couple of games haven't gone well for them. Just 3 losses all season, and they've beaten Cardiff and Bradford away from home, who we know are right at the upper ends of the league. But famously, when Argyle are involved, it doesn't necessarily go the way teams expect, does it?
No, it doesn't. I think they find they've only lost that amount of games, and they sit just above a relegation zone. They both sit on the same amount of points. I think Burton have got the extra game in hand now at the moment, so it's a huge game this afternoon. They've just lost the last 2 games, obviously against Reading, was one of them we lost, and 2-0 defeat, and they're struggling with like a few injuries as well. So Argyle have really got to put that home form together now, and start producing that, just to not rely on the away results. Can you believe it? It used to be the other way, didn't it? We'd always win at home and be struggling on the road. But I think we're just looking for that consistency. If we can just get that consistency and that bit of confidence back in the side, then hopefully we can put back-to-back wins together, home and away, and start climbing the table. Yeah,
luckily we're coming off the back of consistently managing to get a point, at least in the last couple of games, so that's something we're going to want to expand on, and particularly New Year, back at home, making Home Park that fortress that we've come to know and love. There were returning players for Argyle on New Year's Day, which is a welcome sight for Tom Cleverley, I'm sure, and this is the side that he has gone for today to see us into our first New Year's game at home. Connor Hazard, Joe Edwards, Julio Pleguezuelo, Alex Mitchell, Brendan Galloway, Xavier Amici, Malachi Boateng, Joe Rawls, Barley Mumba, Bim Peppel and Laurent Talai. And on the bench, Ashby Hammond, Ross Wiradu, Patterson, Watts, Sorinola and Finn. Couple of changes in amongst there. I think as well, maybe one name we need to pick up on the bench. Caleb Watts performed really well on New Year's Day, didn't he?
Yeah, it's brilliant to see him back, and I think we said in the new year that we'd start seeing some players come back from injury, and they're going to be vital to really sustain our status in League One, because I think we have had a number of injuries and it's definitely affected us throughout the course of the season. So I think he was particularly eye-catching. Seeing him back, he has just a bit of dimension. Seeing him coming here full of energy, he makes some forward runs and certainly had a huge impact against Stevenage. And we see him here with that. They were struggling for a little bit, and I was thinking, are they going to find a way? And they managed to find a way to get a really good away point.
Mm-hmm. I think when we look at Watts and maybe Amici as well as an example of a player, having had them out of action for some time and having them back in fit, well, it kind of feels like new signings in a way,
yeah, it
doesn't
definitely does. But you can just see the footage here. It's their running ability in behind, and you can just see the tempo increases. And they're very forward-thinking players. And when you got them in your team, it gives a huge advantage, and obviously it affects the opposition as well. So great to see some other players coming back from injury.
What do you make of the partnerships up front? I mean, Talai has gone, I think, 3 games without a goal at the minute. A little bit unusual for him, I guess. But how do you see that up front portion of the squad gelling together?
Well, I think Talai, he's been our talisman, hasn't he? Without him, we've sorely missed him, and we're talking about him now. He hasn't scored in 3, so I think he'll relish the opportunity today against Burton, to another home game. I think you just got to give him the opportunities. Who he plays up against, I think that's a manager decision, who he wants up there with him. So it all depends what other partnership. But I think sometimes he's a lone ranger up there, which makes it difficult because he's always there closing down. But hopefully with the support now, likes of Caleb Watts coming back and some other players, to maybe playing the 2 up there, to be interesting to see how he does play the formation today, which will give us plenty more opportunities.
Yeah. And if we look at the other end of the pitch, Brendan Galloway, of course, back after his AFCON stint. For him, obviously, it will be disappointing that they didn't progress further in that tournament. But I think maybe for us as a club, he had it was almost like a perfect amount of time to get some minutes in internationally and then come back here and be fit and ready to continue like we're seeing him starting today. Yeah,
straight back into the team. And just before he left on his international duty, I thought he was playing really well, that experience. Seeing him back to his best. We love the way, how committed he is. He tackles. He loves defending. So it's not surprising he's gone back into the side, and his experience is vital on that side. And he gives, I think, a lot of the players, especially some of the younger players as well, they do look up to him. And with that experience, it certainly does rub off on the rest of the team.
And you talk about younger players looking up to people, Joe Rawls as well. I think another example of that. And we know that he's going to be staying a bit longer with us. And I think has demonstrated that quality. And have you noticed a difference between where we were maybe more towards the start of the season? We kept talking about how young, maybe a bit more inexperienced the squad was, versus how things seem to be working now with players like Joe Rawls, Joe Edwards and others.
Yeah, I think so. I think apart from the Reading, the 4-1 defeat, we started shutting up shop at the back, being more concentrating defensively, wasn't conceding many goals, the odd goal. And we thought that was a turning point. And then all of a sudden the Reading game comes up and you think, oh my goodness, what's happened there? So I think now what Cleverley's looking for is that consistency, having that experienced players, mixing it with youth as well is a really good combination. And having players who they look up to and can be more reliable. So if we can get that consistency, start winning games, and all of a sudden then the table can really quickly change. I think apart from the 2 draws in December, we could have been so far up the table. I think it just looks better and it makes the fans feel a bit more relaxed. Unfortunately, we are still in the relegation zone, but it is so close down there.
Now, we don't, of course, wish injury on anyone, but Burton have really been struggling with injuries at the minute, which is something that we are all too familiar with here at Argyle. Without their top scorers like Charlie Webster, for example, this is the side they've gone with out of the players they have available to choose from. Collins, Van Kooten, Sibic, Hartridge, Lofthouse, Chalk, Evans, Armour, Larson, Williams and Tavares, and on their bench Dudek, Akoto, Newell, Gironi, Krubali, Williamson and Scott. I mean, Mark, you were in the media. We were in the media suite earlier and chatting to some of the Burton guys, and it has been a real struggle for them, hasn't it? Injury
yeah,
wise.
I spoke to Aaron Webster, who's a legend at Burton. He's like the Kevin Hodges of Burton Albion, really. It really is. Really a great guy. Great to see him. But he just said, they have been struggling. They've relied on a lot of youth players coming through, which is great for the football club. But there's a time and a place to introduce those sort of players. Their top scorers are out at the moment, so they've got goals missing out their game. And all of a sudden they find themselves really at the wrong end of the table. They have got some injuries coming back, but I don't think it's going to be till next month. A bit of inside information from Aaron there, but so they have been struggling. As I said before, the defeats against Reading and the other team Wigan, who I missed out, two defeats home and away, 2 at 2-0 as well. So they'll want to try to improve, but it's going to be tricky for them today. Hopefully, if Argyle perform here this afternoon.
Yeah, their captain is also out injured. From like your playing experience, how much do you find that impacts the team? Because we've had that with Joe Edwards either being out injured or that, you know, for a period not being in the squad. What does it mean when you're without your captain, who oftentimes is the talisman of a team?
Yeah, of course, captain and key players. Your captain's there, isn't he? He's the one everybody looks up to. He leads by example. He gets the dressing room going. The manager, you know, will push things onto him because he can lead with his qualities. But Burton have been unfortunately not just missing their captain; they've got key players out as well. So when you're relying on youth as well, the youth players are coming in, but you've got missing men, very important players in your team who you look up to. Maybe give the advice, and I'm sure the captain does that on and off the field. But obviously he's a huge miss while he's not on the field. So that's why I think they've struggled a little bit. I know Pat Lyons really well in Gary Bowyer, and I think last season they just survived at they really did a fantastic run to get themselves their League One status, and now they find themselves in a tricky situation back in January again.
Yeah, you'd like to think they're looking, maybe this could be one of their more vulnerable appearances, I guess, from an Argyle perspective in terms of taking them on today.
Yeah, spot on. I think, unfortunately for Burton, it's the right time for Argyle to play them. I really do. I think they've come back from a really good away point. They want to kickstart their home form, and I think Burton maybe fear that because I think with injuries and stuff. So Argyle have got to take advantage of that, really start the game well, really be positive and really take the game to Burton. Okay,
well, hopefully we'll find out in a second how the plan is to do that, because we are going to hear from the head coaches. We will start with Tom Cleverley, who is very conscious, like Mark said, of the fact that Argyle need to start improving at home.
Gaffer, first home game of 2026 is almost upon us. It's something, obviously, that I think everybody will want to see improve the form at home, and it could start tomorrow in a positive way.
Yeah, I think you opened up with the first of the new year, and we have to make it feel like a fresh start at home, because we've not taken advantage of what great atmosphere and what great support we get here. You know, we're to still have 17,000 coming here. We must connect with that. We must entertain that. And we've not yet. We appreciate that. We're working hard to try and build that connection, and what can we do to be the catalyst for that. And when we do unlock that, then I think it'll be a real exciting journey that we're on, because there's a lot of other things that are falling into place, and that's one of the things that hasn't yet.
Sunday will bring an end to what has been what's felt like a really busy festive period. I know it's always busy, but it's felt particularly busy. And then we don't have a game for a little while after that. So is there extra incentive one need to get that win to kind of bookend the Christmas New Year game?
Yeah, it's huge. It's pivotal is the word that I'd use, you know, and that's quite a strong word for me. But I think if you look at that would be a real busy period. I think it was before Port Vale, the 10 game. That would be 17 points if we won on Saturday. That when I said we had a target for the next 10 games, it was 17 points. A win on Sunday would mean that we reached that target. I expected, if we did reach that target, us to be a lot higher in the league, but everyone around us has been winning as well and caught up to the next group of clubs. But for me, Sunday's pivotal. Yeah, it would mean that we can look at over our festive period, over our December and early January, and say, with that's a good run of games, that's a good run of results, performances, to see us into the next part of the season.
It's like a fair bit of logistics in that answer, wasn't there?
I understand where he's coming from. I think you can just see the frustration there. He knows they're so close, but we don't want to be the nearly men. I think Argyle, previous games, their last 6 games, we've got 11 from 18. It's not a bad return.
Yeah.
I think Burton have got 5 from 18, and they find themselves, in a free fall, and they've only lost 3 games all season. The mass is unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
So I think he knows they're so close, and he knows with the support at home and away, which we've got to commend them for that. Again, the Argyle fans have been magnificent. He knows, they get a win, you think they've turned the corner, and then all of a sudden they go and draw or get a defeat. So he just wants to get that consistency, hard working as ever, probably first on the training ground, last to leave. But he's still finding that way to try to win games, and whether it's a formation and players, and I think he needs a little bit of luck, but the key point for me is really that players are starting to come back now, they're experienced players, and then he'll have his squad where hopefully can start getting on a consistent run and get us up the table.
Yeah, it's the ifs and the buts. I mean, like if you were to add 6 points, which is 2 wins for Argyle, I think they'd be 9th.
Which is incredible. But the thing about it is we're both sitting here, we know we could have got that.
Yes.
And that's why I think you can just tell with his frustration, and he's on about the fans, and we're nearly there. There's been so many games this season where we could have got those 6 points, and that's the key factor. It's narrow margins, it always is right throughout the season. We know it's such a crazy festive campaign, but we're close.
Have you, I'm interested in your experience as a player, like at Home Park in particular. Do you think the form that they're on now, where that home park form hasn't been particularly good, there's like an anxiety element, and whether you've had it here or at another club, it must be quite difficult if you have a bit of anxiety, if that is even true, but to have some anxiety at your home stadium because of the bad juju.
Yeah, I mean, I find that hard to believe sometimes, but I get it. We spoke about it before, where some players prefer to play away from home, and other players, really love playing in front of their home fans. They're on home turf, they're in their own beds, they're with their families. You would have thought that would be the key to winning games, but for some reason, it hasn't happened this season. So many times we've talked about we've struggled on the road, and it's flipped this season, which is incredible.
There seems to be more pressure here.
Yeah, and we're on about, it's the travelling, and we can't get the results, and we're on the coach too long, and you try to then worry about excuses where you shouldn't. We're playing at home, we're playing against a team that are vulnerable at the moment, which is Burton Albion. All the players in that dressing room and all the squad should be relishing those opportunities to get 3 points.
It's all very interesting. Burton, on the other hand, have won just one of their last 7 matches and have had to deal with back-to-back 2-0 losses, and the most recent one, of course, was Thursday at Reading.
Gary, difficult afternoon for your side in the end. What did you make of the game today?
I thought we started off well. I thought we passed it well. I thought we caused them some problems. They had the tactical goalkeeper going down injured for them to get their organised in terms of how we pressed, how they pressed against us. Because, like I say, we were doing well with the ball, but in those moments we have to be clinical in front of goal and ruthless with our chances, and we haven't been. And then obviously the manner of the 2 goals that we've conceded is poor from us, but it just shows you the quality of Richie with his Premiership left foot, and Marriott, who's done it at higher levels. That's won the game today. And second half, I didn't think we threatened their goal enough. I thought the supporters were magnificent coming down here on New Year's Day, and we thank them for that. And obviously they've got an unbelievable trip again on Sunday, but we'd hoped that we could give them a little bit more second half, and we didn't. But that said, I have to say the players' efforts we can't fault in that sense, because we've got players that are on the pitch that probably shouldn't have been on the pitch today, but that's the level of commitment that they've got. They're putting themselves and their bodies on the line, and it's there for all to see. We haven't got the bodies.
I mean, Tyree Shea probably the most notable addition based off Monday night, but then Jake Beasley almost getting himself out of the game.
No, Ty's going to be missing probably the whole of January, if not longer. So it's really disappointing for us, because he's been terrific since he's come into the building. And then, we'll have to assess Jake, but it's just a measure of the bloke that after that, so early, he carries on and plays the full 90.
And he nearly gets you back in the game on the half time.
It's a wonderful strike from him, and that probably summed up the game for us. Either side, a little bit the other side, and it goes in, and it rebounds out, and they counter on us. But we've just got to adjust ourselves down now and crack on.
On reflection, were you a little bit disappointed with the defending for both of their goals?
Yeah, as you said, the 2 goals are poor goals from us, and we've got to do better.
Like you said, it's dust down, go again. It's relentless at this time of year. Plymouth on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly that, and that's what we've got to do.
Gary, Bowyer talking after the game against Reading, another victim of Reading in recent weeks. We are, of course, also familiar with that feeling, and again he's emphasising the injury situation, and again that's another area that Argyle are able to empathise with, how difficult it is not having the strength of players or the players that you want available. And I suppose for the benefit of us at least, we are seeing those players coming back now.
Yeah, Gary's a really honest campaigner as well. I mean, you could just sense in his voice, really disappointed. Players are out on the pitch who probably shouldn't be there. Now he's got this injury list coming in, and he's frustrated, you can see, because he knows he shouldn't be in the position they're in. No. Vast experience, and he's gone down. I thought the goals were, I mean, Jack Marriott, he scored against us. He's a brilliant goal scorer, and I thought the first goal was an excellent goal. It is probably a bit harsh on his defending, because it is harsh to blame on that. You know, it's a great ball in, and it's a glance header, and sometimes it's really difficult to mark. But yeah, no, he again knows he's in this situation where he's not making excuses. He's with the players he's got there. He needs bodies. He hasn't got them, and they've just got to weave their magic wand and try to get the players through this stage of games to get them ready for when they can put their full squad out. Yeah,
well, he kept Burton safe this time last year when he joined them 12 months ago for the second half of that season. That's something he's going to be wanting to do again today. January will be a big month for them. It's a big month for us as well. So before we get to the game, how do Argyle need to approach it today, knowing what we know about the difficulties that Burton are in at the minute?
I think they've just got to concentrate on themselves, you know, not worry about Burton's situation. We know they got injuries, and they'll be pleased about that because their top scorer's out. But concentrate on themselves. Let's concentrate on the 1-1 draw against Stevenage, which was a great point away from home. And now it's time to start taking that confidence and really, trusting themselves here at home park. We've shown signs that we can do it, but we just got to find that consistency to start winning home games.
Yeah, well, we've had the 1 point, and we'll take all 3 today.
Be nice.
I think is the plan. Mark, thank you very much. We'll be back at half-time, of course, for a recap. But it's time to hand over to Charlie Price and Brian McGlinchey for all of your commentary. If you haven't got your match passes, grab them now before the game starts, because it is Argyle versus Burton Albion up next.